Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So there are 4 races that I quite like tomorrow, and I think I found a horse in all 4 of them. I talked about all of the races actually in the earlier analysis video this week. I think I sent that on Tuesday or Wednesday for Premium and Pro members, and there's 4 that I like. One of those I didn't really talk about on Tuesday, but 3 I did, so I may repeat some of what I said on earlier this week. The first race that I wanted to talk about was the 12:55 at Ascot. Now, I quite liked Mr. Coffee in this race. Nicky Henderson also had City Chief in this race. He's not declared either of those, and I think that leaves this race open for Milan Bridge. Keldestan is probably the best horse in the race and has the best back form, but hasn't run for 685 days. And Paul has come out and said today that he's been one of the hardest horses ever for him to get fit, and he's going to need the run. I think that leaves it for Paul Nicholls' other runner, Milan Bridge, to take all the beating in this race, and he's been priced up accordingly. I think you can get, let me just check what we can get about Milan Bridge at this very moment. We can get 13-8, 6-4. As I've said before, I'm not going to quote those silly Bet365 prices. Yes, they're generally bigger in a lot of for a lot of horses, but you start backing those at those prices and they will very quickly restrict you. But you can get 6-4 at William Hill. You can get 6-4 at a couple of other rubbish bookmakers that I'm also not going to talk about because they'll be going bust tomorrow or in a few weeks' time, and we won't hear anything of them again. Why do I like Milan Bridge? Well, his form was good last season, and I thought he's had a really good pipe opener this season over hurdles. He finished second to Remastered at Aintree. I thought that was a good effort. He ran on strongly. The step up over fences will be good for him, and I've always said I like horses that go straight into handicaps over fences rather than running in novice chases. The trainer is aware that they're well handicapped and sends them straight over fences and into a handicap. He's currently rated 126, and if he wants to be getting involved in some of the bigger races down the line, he's going to need to win this. With Keldestan probably needing the run, it probably suggests that Milan Bridge's biggest rival is going to be Arizona Cardinal. Now, I wasn't that impressed with Arizona Cardinal's win last time out, when he only just scraping home. And this is a harder race. He's up against a better opposition here in Keldestan and Milan Bridge, and even with Finn taking the weight off Arizona Cardinal, he may find that Milan Bridge is just too classy for him here. So I think Milan Bridge is definitely the one to beat in the 12:55 at Ascot, and hopefully we can start the day in good style. The second race I want to talk about is the 2:25 at Haydock, the Stayers Handicap Hurdle, over 3 miles, and there's probably 4 that we want to focus on here. Good Risk at All, Run for Oscar, Complete Unknown, and Might I. They've all got reasons you could like them. Run for Oscar could be exceptionally well handicapped, or he's a horse that could be well handicapped for Charles Burns, having won the Cesarewitch earlier this season. But he won that off a mark of 90, and his handicap mark over hurdles is 147. Now, even if we go 40, 45, that only takes us to 130 something, 140. 147 is probably at the top of Run for Oscar's handicap mark, in my opinion. He was beaten quite comfortably in a listed race. Was it a listed race or a grade 2? A grade 2, sorry, earlier this year at Wetherby. That's not good enough form, in my opinion. Good Risk at All beat Holstone last time out, which was a good run, but is Holstone really, is he the right horse to use as the form line? Probably not. Good Risk at All is also stepping up in trip, and he would have to take on Mai Tai again, who beat him comfortably in the Grade 1 at Aintree at the end of last season. Granted, they were all behind Three Stripe Life, but I don't think Good Risk at All can reverse the form with Mai Tai. The other horse that's interesting is Complete Unknown, but his defeat recently didn't really suggest that he was going to be good enough to beat a horse like Mai Tai, who's a graded horse. He'll be back in graded races very soon. I think it's a great bit of placing from Harry Fry to drop him into a handicap and try and win a good handicap. Look, 71 grand for the winner. You might as well win that before going back into graded races. And I think Mai Tai is the one to beat here. If the step up and trip brings out more improvement, I think he could win this quite stylishly. I do like Mai Tai as a horse. His form behind Constitution Hill, behind John Bon, and behind Three Stripe Life is top quality form. The third race I want to look at is the 2 mile handicap at Ascot. I think this is a great bit of placement from Alan King running Edwardstone here. He was meant to run last week in the Schlur Chase at Cheltenham, and that's more his level. He's a grade 1 horse, but he's getting to run in a handicap here. Okay, he's got a lot of weight to give away, but Alan King knows what to do in this situation. He did it earlier this season with Trushan in the Northumberland Plate at Newcastle, winning a big handicap before then going back into graded company. I think that's what Edwardstone will do here. The likes of Third Time Lucky, granted he's getting £10 from Edwardstone, but I don't think that's enough to reverse the form. Edwardstone's beaten him a couple of times already. Ferro Bamboo is probably the most interesting rival for me, in that I thought he was given a different ride last time, or he was given a different ride last time than what he normally is given, and yet he still ran really well for second. I think they'll be a bit more patient on him this time and try and get there at the right time. Whilst the likes of Before Midnight and Time White have very similar form, especially coming from that race at Ascot recently, but I just think they're suspect or susceptible to being beaten by a proper Grade 1 horse in Edwardstone. I think the prize money of 65 grand certainly tempts the owners and Alan King to run Edwardstone here, and I think he's going to take all of the beating. Final horse I want to talk about and the race is the 3 mile 1 handicap chase at Haydock. This for me all comes down to whether Musical Slave is going for it. If he is, I think he goes really, really close here, and I think he runs a massive race. It could also be used as a prep run for the Welsh National. That would be my only concern with Musical Slave. Last season, Musical Slave came into form, looked very progressive, even at the age of 9, before finishing second in the Bet365 Gold Cup. He was beaten by Hewick, which we obviously know was actually very, very good form. Hewick has since won a Galway Plate. He would have won a Kerry National had he not fallen at the last. And then he went on to win the American National in, I can't think where it is at the moment, but in America, obviously. That's really good form. The third horse, Kitty's Light, I think is very, very well handicapped, just needs things to come right. That was probably right that day. I think he had conditions and had the right course, and yet he got beat by the ridiculously well handicapped Hewick and the nicely handicapped Musical Slave. I think both of those, Hewick can go and win a few races like he has, and I think Musical Slave can win a few races. It's all about whether this race is the one they're after, or whether they're getting him fit for the Welsh National in a month's time. If he turns up in the Welsh National, regardless of what he does here, I'll also be very keen on him in the Welsh National, but I'm hoping he wins this race en route. I think this is also the same for Trucker's Lodge. This race is being used as a Welsh National trial or fitness run. Easy's Land is mental. The price for him, John Joe Neal's just done nothing with him since taking over from David Cotton. We've got to remember, Easy's Land beat Tiger Roll in a cross-country race and then was like 5-1 or something ridiculous for a Gold Cup. That was never going to be the level of Easy's Land. But after finishing fourth then over the cross-country fences, he went to the festival as the even money favourite against Tiger Roll and was well beaten by Tiger Roll, but he still finished second. Since then, he moved to John Joe O'Neill, and John Joe's actually managed to make the horse regress somehow. He's pulled up in his last 4 runs, or his only 4 runs for John Joe O'Neill. As soon as he bounces back, he's going to go in off a big price, but I don't think, and I don't want it to be here at Haydock. It's so difficult to judge what form we go on. If we go on his effort when he beat Tiger Roll in the cross-country, he would go, he'd win this race, simple as that. But I don't think he's ready to win yet. But he is one that you do need to keep an eye out for. Of the others, Fontaine Cologne could be thoroughly progressive, but probably will need the run. I'm not sure who else I like. Lord de Menil, he loves it here. He loves the ground. He's sure to go well, but I'm hoping Musical Slave is ahead of the handicapper here and can run a huge race. If we get a bit of money for him late on, that would certainly make me more confident about Musical Slave. So they are my 4 for the weekend. Milan Bridge at Ascot, Might I at Haydock, Edwardstone back at Ascot, and Musical Slave at Haydock. If you like any of those and follow, fingers crossed we can have some good runs. There's a few others that I've put at the bottom of this blog that have caught my eye for this weekend. The likes of Benson could be very well handicapped. Immortal in the last race at Ascot, I think, is the one to be on. And I hope to see Hitman run at Haydock and win before going on to better things this season.